Wake up early morning. You want a different life? Then stop waking up at the same time as everyone else who's stuck. Because while the world is asleep, destiny is wide awake. Let me say this clean and let me say it strong. Your future is built in the early morning hours. Not in talk, not in wishing, not in scrolling, but in discipline, when no one is clapping, watching, or cheering. This is not about waking up early. This is about waking up to who you're supposed to be. Nobody wakes up early by accident. Let's clear that lie right now. People don't just become early risers the same way they don't just become disciplined, focused, or powerful. Waking up early is not a personality trait. It's a decision you make before the world makes decisions for you. Every single morning when that alarm sounds, life is asking you a question. Are you in control or are you reacting? There is no neutral ground. You either choose the day or the day chooses you. And the life you're living right now is the accumulated result of the choices you've been making at that exact moment. That alarm is not about sleep. It's about identity. When you hit snooze, you're not just grabbing a few extra minutes, you're rehearsing a pattern. You're teaching yourself that discomfort has authority over you. You're reinforcing the belief that how you feel matters more than what you said you wanted. And that mindset doesn't stay in bed, it follows you into your work, your relationships, your goals. Small decisions repeated daily shape the person you become. The early morning exposes who you really are when no one is watching and nothing is on the line except your word to yourself. Most people wait until they feel ready. That's the trap. Readiness is a myth sold to people who are afraid to move. The truth is, you don't wake up early because you feel strong. You wake up early and that's what makes you strong. Decision comes before confidence. Action comes before belief. When you decide to get up early, you are stepping into leadership over your own life. You stop outsourcing your discipline to motivation, mood, or circumstances. You become the authority. And once you make that decision enough times, your nervous system learns something powerful. You are someone who follows through. There is a quiet pride that comes from keeping a promise to yourself before sunrise. No applause, no recognition, just self-respect being built brick by brick. That pride is different from ego. It's grounded, it's stable, it doesn't depend on praise. And over time, that self-respect becomes your standard. You stop tolerating laziness from yourself. You stop negotiating with excuses. You begin to move through life with a different posture because you know deep down that you can be trusted. That changes how you speak, how you act, and what you're willing to accept. Understand this. The early morning decision trains your mind to choose long-term gain over short-term comfort. That skill transfers everywhere. When you choose to wake up early, you are practicing delayed gratification. You are conditioning yourself to do what's necessary, not what's convenient. And people who master that skill don't just succeed once, they succeed repeatedly. They don't rely on luck, they rely on structure. They rely on decisions they've already made in advance. That's power. So don't frame waking up early as something you try to do. That language already sets you up to fail. You don't try to wake up early, you decide who you are. Are you someone who lives by intention or someone who lives by impulse? Are you someone who leads yourself or someone who waits to be pushed? Every morning gives you another chance to answer that question. And when you choose to get up early, consistently, relentlessly, without drama, you don't just change your schedule. You change your identity. Motivation is loud, emotional, and unreliable. It shows up when things feel good and disappears the moment they don't. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how inspired you are or how heavy your body feels in the morning. It doesn't ask for permission. It shows up because it's been trained to. And early mornings are where that training happens. When you wake up early without waiting to feel ready, you are proving that your actions are not controlled by emotion. You are stepping into command of yourself, and that is the foundation of every powerful life. Most people believe they need motivation before they move, but that belief keeps them stuck. They wait for the right mood, the right music, the right moment, the right energy. Discipline doesn't wait. Discipline moves first and lets motivation catch up later. When you rise early, especially on the days you don't feel like it, you are rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that movement comes before emotion, that commitment comes before comfort. Over time, this changes how you operate under pressure. You stop freezing. You stop hesitating. You act. Early mornings strip away excuses. There's no one to blame at that hour, no distractions to hide behind, just you and the decision you already made. And that's where discipline grows sharp. It's not built in big moments when everything aligns, it's built in small, uncomfortable moments that repeat daily. Every early morning is a quiet rep. One more repetition of choosing responsibility over relief. Those repetitions accumulate until discipline becomes automatic. And when discipline becomes automatic, success becomes predictable. The power of discipline is that it creates consistency. And consistency is what separates people who dream from people who build. Motivation might get you started once or twice, but discipline is what keeps you showing up long after the excitement fades. Early rising turns discipline into a lifestyle, not an event. You stop relying on external sparks and start generating internal structure. That structure gives your life rhythm, direction, and momentum. Even when circumstances are hard, there's something else discipline gives you that motivation never will: emotional stability. When your life is built on discipline, your progress no longer depends on how you feel. That day bad moods don't derail you. Low energy doesn't defeat you. Stress doesn't stop you. You move anyway, and that ability to move forward without emotional permission is rare. It's what allows you to stay focused while others quit, to remain steady while others speak. Iral, early mornings train that steadiness. Over time, waking up early without waiting for motivation changes your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to be pushed. You start seeing yourself as someone who executes. That shift is everything. Confidence stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. You trust yourself because you've proven again and again that you will act regardless of how you feel. And once discipline is in place, motivation becomes a bonus, not a requirement. At that point, early mornings are no longer a struggle, they are a statement of who you are. While most of the world is still asleep, something powerful is happening. The noise hasn't started yet, the opinions haven't arrived, the pressure hasn't entered the room. Early morning creates a quiet gap between who people were yesterday and who they choose to become today. And in that gap, separation begins. This is where paths split, not dramatically, not loudly, but permanently. The difference between average lives and exceptional ones often comes down to who is willing to move when no one is watching. Most people believe success is about talent, connections, or luck. But talent sleeps in. Connections can't help you at dawn. And luck has nothing to do with the discipline to rise early. Early morning is a filter. It naturally removes the uncommitted. It exposes who is serious and who is comfortable. While others are unconscious, you are stacking small advantages. Me. Mentally, emotionally, and strategically. Over time, those advantages compound, and what looks like overnight success is actually the result of countless mornings most people never saw. There is a different energy that comes from being ahead of the day instead of chasing it. When you wake up early, you're not reacting, you're preparing. You are setting the tone while others are scrambling to catch up. That head start creates momentum, and momentum changes everything. You walk into situations calmer, sharper, and more focused because you've already done the work others haven't even thought about yet. Separation isn't loud, it's quiet confidence built in solitude. Early mornings also reshape your standards. Once you experience what it feels like to be productive before the world wakes up, your tolerance for mediocrity drops. You stop romanticizing laziness. You stop glorifying excuses. You begin to see how much time most people waste, and you refuse to waste yours. That awareness alone puts you in a different category. You don't need to announce it, your results will speak. Separation is not about feeling superior, it's about living deliberately. The real separation happens internally before it ever shows externally. Early rising builds a private sense of excellence. You know you are doing the hard thing while others choose the easy thing. That knowledge changes how you carry yourself. You don't seek validation because you already validated yourself at sunrise. And when challenges come later in the day, they don't shake you the same way. You've already faced resistance and won. That's why lie risers develop a quiet resilience that can't be faked. Over time, these mornings create distance. Distance in mindset, habits, and outcomes. People start asking how you stay so consistent, so focused, so composed. They won't see the alarm clock. They won't see the dark room, the silence, the decision. But that's where separation was built. Not in public moments, not in big speeches, but in early hours when you chose growth over comfort. That choice, repeated daily, doesn't just separate you from others. It separates you from the old version of yourself. Before the world reaches for you, your mind belongs to you. That is the quiet power of the early morning. No notifications pulling at your attention, no conversations shaping your thoughts, no pressure to perform or respond. Your mind is untouched, uncluttered, and receptive. This is when thinking is clean. This is when ideas arrive without force. When you wake up early, you are protecting the most valuable resource you have, your focus, before the world tries to claim it for itself. As the day goes on, mental space gets crowded. Other people's problems become your problems. Other people's urgency becomes your urgency. But in the early morning, none of that has arrived yet. Your thoughts move slower and deeper. You're not reacting, you're observing. That's why this time is so powerful for planning, reflection, and vision. You can hear your own voice without interruption. And when you can hear yourself clearly, you make better decisions. Clarity is not something you stumble upon randomly. It is created by environment. Early morning creates an environment where your brain operates at its highest level. You are rested. Your willpower is full. Your attention hasn't been fractured yet. This is when you can confront difficult questions honestly about your goals, your habits, your direction. You're not distracted by entertainment or drowned in noise. You are present, and presence sharpens perception. In that clarity, you begin to see patterns. You notice what's working and what's not. You recognize where you've been avoiding responsibility and where you need to step up. Early mornings don't lie to you. They don't flatter you. They give you truth without emotional distortion. That truth might be uncomfortable at first, but it's also liberating, because once you see clearly, you can act decisively. Confusion disappears when clarity takes its place. This quiet thinking time becomes a strategic advantage. While others are starting their day rushed and reactive, you've already thought through yours. You've already decided what matters and what doesn't. That gives you emotional control later on. You're less likely to be pulled into drama, distractions, or meaningless urgency. You know your priorities because you defined them before the noise arrived. That kind of mental discipline creates confidence that doesn't depend on circumstances. Over time, early mornings train your mind to value depth over distract. Ion. You become someone who thinks before acting, who plans before reacting, who chooses intentionally instead of impulsively. That mindset spills into every area of your life. You speak with more clarity, you move with more purpose, you waste less energy, and all of it begins in those quiet hours when the world is still asleep and your mind is fully awake, working for you, not against you. Every time you wake up early when it would be easier to stay in bed, you are making a silent promise and keeping it. That moment matters more than people realize. It's not about the clock, it's about integrity. You said you would get up, and you did. That single act sends a powerful signal to your mind. Your words have weight, and when your mind believes you, everything changes. Self-trust is built quietly, long before anyone else sees results. Most people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they don't trust themselves to follow through. They've broken too many small promises, and over time, confidence erodes. Early mornings reverse that damage. They give you a daily opportunity to prove reliability to yourself. No audience, no pressure, just action. And the more consistently you do it, the stronger that internal trust becomes. You stop questioning whether you can handle challenges. You already know you can. Self-trust creates stability. When you trust yourself, you don't panic as easily. You don't second-guess every decision. You don't need constant reassurance from others. Waking up early strengthens this foundation because it's a controlled challenge, difficult enough to require effort, simple enough to repeat daily. Each successful morning becomes evidence. Evidence that you can commit, evidence that you can endure discomfort, evidence that you can be counted on. This trust changes the way you relate to difficulty throughout the day. When something unexpected happens, you don't fold. You've already faced resistance that morning and won. That creates a calm resilience. You approach obstacles with the mindset of someone who has trained for adversity, not someone hoping to avoid it. And that calmness is powerful. It allows you to think clearly under pressure and act deliberately instead of emotionally. As self-trust grows, your standards rise. You stop settling for half effort. You stop accepting excuses from yourself. You begin to align your actions with the life you say you want. Early mornings become non-negotiable, not because they're easy, but because they represent who you are. You're no longer chasing motivation, you're honoring consistency. And consistency is what builds long-term success, not intensity. Over time, the identity shift becomes undeniable. You start to see yourself as disciplined, reliable, and capable. That self-image influences everything you touch, your work ethic, your relationships, your boundaries. People feel it in how you move and how you speak. But it all started with one quiet choice repeated daily: waking up here, lie, and keeping your word to yourself. That habit doesn't just build mornings, it builds a person who can be trusted with bigger goals and greater responsibility. The life you keep imagining is not waiting for someday. It is waiting for a decision. Every morning, that alarm is a doorway. On one side is the life you've been living, familiar, predictable, comfortable. On the other side is the life you say you want, stronger, sharper, more intentional. Waking up early is not a productivity trick. It is a daily vote for the future version of yourself. And every time you ignore that vote, you delay becoming who you're capable of being. People think big changes require dramatic moves, but the truth is quieter. The future is built in small, consistent actions that don't feel heroic in the moment. Early mornings are one of those actions. They don't feel glamorous, they don't give instant rewards, but they create momentum. And momentum is what carries you forward when motivation fades. When you wake up early, you are stepping into alignment with the long game instead of chasing short-term relief. That future version of you, the focused one, the disciplined one, the confident one, operates on structure, not chaos. Early rising introduces structure into your life before distractions take over. It gives you time to work on what actually matters instead of reacting to what feels urgent. This is where goals stop being wishes and start becoming plans. You're no longer hoping for change. You're engineering it one morning at a time. The alarm is uncomfortable because it represents responsibility. It reminds you that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. You have to meet it halfway. Early mornings force you to confront that truth daily. And while that can feel heavy at first, it becomes empowering. Responsibility stops being a burden and becomes proof of control. You realize that your future is not random. It's responsive to your actions. As this habit solidifies, you begin to notice something shift. You stop chasing the future anxiously because you know you're already working toward it. That anxiety gets replaced by confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet certainty. You trust the process because you're honoring it every day. You may not see immediate results, but you feel progress internally, and that feeling is enough to keep going. Eventually, early mornings stop feeling like sacrifice and start feeling like alignment. You're no longer forcing yourself to wake up. You're moving towards something. You understand that the life you want doesn't arrive suddenly. It's built gradually through discipline, clarity, and commitment. And it all begins with answering that alarm and stepping into the day with intention. That choice, repeated daily, is what transforms potential into reality. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it tonight. Decide who you're going to be in the morning. Because when that alarm goes off, it's not asking if you're retired. It's asking if you're serious. Serious about your goals. Serious about your growth. Serious about becoming the person your future is counting on. Wake up early, not to impress anyone, not to chase noise, but to build a life that doesn't need excuses. The world will keep moving, whether you rise or not. The question is, will you move with intention or be moved by habit? Tomorrow morning is your next opportunity. Answer it with discipline. Answer it with purpose. Answer it like someone who knows their time is valuable, because the ones who change their lives don't wait for permission. They wake up early and take it,